Doctors reveal the safest number of eggs seniors can eat per day. If you're over 60, how many eggs per day is actually safe? And at what point does something healthy quietly start becoming a risk? Because here's the confusion I see every single day. One doctor tells you eggs are a nutritional powerhouse and perfectly fine to eat daily. Another warns you to avoid eggs completely because of cholesterol and heart attack risk. So which one is right? The truth is, both can be right, depending on your age, your metabolism, and how those eggs are eaten. This video is not about extremes. It's not about fear-based eating, and it's definitely not about following the latest nutrition trend online. What I'm going to share with you today is based on real medical evidence, and, just as importantly, the biological changes that happen in the body after 60. Because the safest number of eggs for a senior is not the same as it is for someone in their 30s or 40s. And here's the part most people never hear. The safest number isn't what most people think. Let's break it down clearly and honestly. So before we argue about whether eggs are good or bad, we need to understand one crucial truth. Your body after 60 is not the same body you had at 40, and that changes everything about how eggs are processed. As we age, several key biological systems change in quiet but important ways. First, the liver becomes slower and less flexible at regulating cholesterol. When you're younger, your liver can quickly adjust its own cholesterol production in response to what you eat. After 60, that feedback system still works, but it reacts more slowly and less precisely. Second, blood vessels lose elasticity with age. They become stiffer and more sensitive to inflammation, which means the same dietary stress can have a bigger impact on arterial health. Third, blood sugar regulation becomes less stable. Even mild glucose spikes can change how fats are processed and increase oxidative stress, which affects the heart and blood vessels. This is why context matters so much. You can eat the same number of eggs, but a 40-year-old body and a 65-year-old body will respond very differently. So the real question isn't, are eggs healthy? It's this: how many eggs can your body safely handle now? Now that you understand why the aging body handles eggs differently, the next step is to look past opinions and headlines and ask a more important question. What does the actual science say about eggs in seniors? Large population studies consistently show that older adults without diabetes and without severe lipid disorders can usually eat eggs regularly without an increased risk of heart attack or stroke. In these individuals, egg consumption does not reliably raise total cholesterol or worsen cardiovascular outcomes. One important reason is this: the cholesterol found in eggs does not automatically become cholesterol in your blood. In most people, dietary cholesterol has only a modest effect on blood cholesterol. The liver produces far more cholesterol internally than what you absorb from food, and it adjusts production based on intake. However, the story changes in certain high-risk groups. In older adults with type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, or metabolic syndrome, multiple studies show a different pattern. In these individuals, frequent egg intake, especially in higher amounts, has been associated with worse lipid profiles and higher cardiovascular risk. There is also a smaller but important group known as cholesterol hyperresponders. These are people whose LDL cholesterol rises significantly when they consume cholesterol-rich foods, including eggs. This response appears to be more common with aging, even in people who previously tolerated eggs well. This is why blanket advice fails. Eggs are not harmful by default. They are nutrient-dense, protein-rich, and metabolically powerful. But the safe daily amount is not the same for everyone, especially after 60. Your metabolic health, blood sugar control, and lipid response determine whether eggs act as support or as a quiet stressor over time. So if eggs aren't the villain, but they're also not a free-for-all, the natural next question becomes this: What is the safest number of eggs most seniors can actually eat each day without putting their heart at risk? This is the moment many people have been waiting for. Not opinions, not headlines, but clear, practical guidance that actually fits an aging body. Because after 60, the safest number of eggs is not the same for everyone. It depends on how your metabolism, blood sugar, and cardiovascular system are functioning right now. So let's break this down into 3 clear groups. First, Group 1, healthy seniors with no diabetes. If you're over 60, your blood sugar is stable, you don't have diabetes, and your cholesterol is reasonably controlled, the evidence is reassuring. For most people in this group, 1 to 2 eggs per day is considered safe. They can be eaten on most days of the week without increasing heart attack risk. But there are 2 conditions. The eggs need to be cooked properly, meaning low heat, no burning, no deep frying. And they need to be eaten in the right meal context, ideally with vegetables, fiber, and healthy fats. In this setting, eggs support muscle, brain health, and satiety, rather than stressing the heart. Now let's move to Group 2, seniors with prediabetes, belly fat, or high cholesterol. This is a very common group after 60. Here the body handles fats and cholesterol less efficiently, especially when blood sugar is unstable. For this group, a more cautious approach works best. The safer range is 1 egg per day, or 1 to 2 eggs, about 4 to 5 days per week. What matters most here is what you eat with the eggs. Eggs combined with refined carbohydrates, white bread, potatoes, pastries, can quietly increase metabolic stress. The egg itself isn't the problem. The combination is. Now, Group 3, seniors with type 2 diabetes or established heart disease. This group does not need to avoid eggs completely, but moderation and personalization are essential. For most people here, 3 to 5 eggs per week is a safer range, not daily, and not without structure. Eggs should always be paired with vegetables, fiber, and healthy fats, never eaten alone or with processed foods. And personal blood markers, cholesterol, triglycerides, glucose, should be monitored over time. And this brings us to the most important takeaway. There is no universal magic number. But there is a safe range, and that range depends on your body after 60, not on what worked when you were 40. Eggs are not dangerous by default. But after 60, how many, how often, and how you eat them makes all the difference. Here's something most people never hear. When it comes to eggs after 60, quantity is not the main issue. Context is. An egg can be supportive, or it can quietly become a problem, depending entirely on how and when it's eaten. Eggs start to carry risk when they're paired with processed meats, bacon, sausage, ham, deli meats. This combination increases inflammation, promotes unfavorable LDL changes, and puts extra stress on aging blood vessels. Eggs also become more problematic when they're eaten while blood sugar is already high. In that state, fat metabolism shifts, oxidative stress rises, and the same egg can trigger a very different vascular response. Cooking method matters too. Eggs fried at high heat with burnt edges or overheated oils create oxidized cholesterol. After 60, the heart and arteries are simply more sensitive to these oxidized compounds. Timing plays a role as well. Eating eggs late at night, especially close to bedtime, can worsen glucose handling and interfere with overnight metabolic repair. So the risk doesn't come from the egg itself. It comes from stacking stressors around the egg. And this is the key line to remember. 1 egg eaten the wrong way can be worse than 2 eggs eaten the right way. That single sentence explains why some people do everything right on paper and still see worsening labs. While others eat eggs regularly and remain metabolically stable, it's never just about the number. Now let's talk about the part that actually gives you control. Because eggs themselves are not the enemy. The way they're prepared and paired is what matters most. The first golden rule is how you cook them. Choose gentle methods: boiling, steaming, poaching, or light pan cooking over low heat. You want the egg cooked, not scorched. No burnt edges, no smoking oil, no industrial seed oils overheated in the pan. High heat and unstable oils change the structure of fats and cholesterol. After 60, your arteries and liver are simply less forgiving of those changes. The second rule is what you eat with your eggs. Eggs should never be eaten alone or with processed meats. Instead, pair them with dark leafy greens, spinach, arugula, kale. The fiber and antioxidants help your body process fats more smoothly and reduce oxidative stress. Add healthy fats, not harmful ones. Extra virgin olive oil or avocado supports better cholesterol handling and vascular function. These fats work with the egg, not against it. And just as important, avoid combining eggs with bacon, sausage, or deli meats. That's not a protein-rich breakfast. For an aging heart, it's an inflammatory load. Timing matters more than people realize. The best time to eat eggs is in the morning or at midday, when insulin sensitivity is higher and metabolism is more flexible. Late-night eggs, especially after heavy meals, are much harder on the cardiovascular system. So remember this message. Eggs don't strain your heart. Bad combinations do. When cooked gently, paired wisely, and eaten at the right time, eggs can be one of the most heart-supportive foods on your plate after 60. Now here's a part most people skip, but it may be the most important of all. No guideline matters if your own body is giving you warning signs. Even when eggs are eaten within the safe range, some seniors still respond differently, and your body will usually tell you, quietly at first. One sign to watch is your blood work. If your LDL cholesterol rises noticeably after a few weeks of regular egg intake, that's a signal worth respecting. It doesn't mean eggs are bad. It means your current dose may be too high for you. Another common signal is digestion. If you notice bloating, heaviness, or discomfort after egg-based meals, especially in the morning, your gut may be struggling to process fats efficiently. Pay attention to your fasting blood sugar as well. If your morning glucose starts creeping up after increasing egg intake, that can indicate poor fat glucose handling, particularly in prediabetes. These are not failures, they're feedback. The goal is not to follow blanket advice from the internet. The goal is to personalize your nutrition based on your labs, your digestion, and your energy levels. So track your numbers, review them with your doctor, adjust thoughtfully. Because the healthiest diet after 60 isn't the one that works for everyone. It's the one your body handles best. So let's bring this home with one clear message. Eggs are not the enemy for older adults. They are one of the most nutrient-dense, affordable foods available when used wisely. What matters after 60 isn't fear, and it isn't extremes. It's dose and context. For most seniors, 1 to 2 eggs per day is safe when they're cooked gently, paired correctly, and eaten at the right time of day. Problems don't come from the egg itself. They come from frying methods, processed meat combinations, late-night meals, and ignoring personal signals. Now I'd love to hear from you. How many eggs do you usually eat in a day? Do you prefer them boiled, fried, or paired with specific foods? Leave a comment below. I read every single one and often reply personally. And in the next video, I'll explain why some seniors feel incredible eating eggs every day while others don't, and how you can tell exactly which group you belong to.